There's a moment in your inner world rare and profound when silence becomes more than absence. You sit with yourself, not out of obligation, but because something inside you has finally quieted. The mind slows, the chest softens, and in that pause, you feel it. Connection, not just to peace, but to purpose. You feel close to something sacred, like you're tuning into a signal that was always there. But now, for the first time, you're fully receiving it. That's the moment your frequency begins to rise. But then, like clockwork, something shifts. A wave of chaos suddenly hits. Out of nowhere, your mind fills with old thoughts. Urges you haven't felt in weeks claw their way to the surface. Cravings that seem irrational. Desires that feel misplaced. And you wonder, what just happened? Why did I lose the peace I had just tapped into? But maybe, just maybe, that disturbance is a signal that you're on the verge of something greater. Because spiritual interference isn't random, it's reactive. When your vibration rises, it creates friction with every low-frequency pattern still hiding in your field. You're not being punished, you're being watched. The system that feeds on your distractions notices the shift. And when it does, it acts fast, not violently, not obviously, strategically. It whispers, not shouts. It triggers old memories. It awakens forgotten fantasies. Not to destroy you, just to delay you. Because delay is the most powerful tool of spiritual resistance. It doesn't need to pull you into darkness. It just needs to keep you circling in the almost. And that's why it feels like sabotage wrapped in pleasure. Most people think desire is the enemy. But desire isn't the problem. Desire is sacred. It's a divine spark coded into your being. It's meant to move you, to create, to connect, to deepen. But when detached from purpose, that same desire becomes distortion. Think of it like electricity. When it's channeled properly, it lights up a city. When misdirected, it sets fire to the very home it was meant to illuminate. You were never supposed to suppress your energy. You were supposed to understand it, transform it, direct it. But what the system wants is for you to give in not to the energy, but to the confusion. Because every time you feed your sacred force to a false craving, you momentarily disconnect from your true frequency. You feel the pleasure, but afterwards, the silence, the fog, the shame, the void. And if you've felt that, don't panic. That's not weakness. It's evidence of your sensitivity. You're not broken. You're receptive. And your receptivity is your greatest weapon if you learn to protect it. Let's talk about the battlefield. It isn't your body. It's not even your actions. It's your frequency. That invisible tone that you carry into every room, every thought, every interaction. It's how your spirit communicates with the field around you. And that field, it's intelligent. It responds, it echoes, it shapes. The more coherent your vibration, the more power you carry. But the more power you carry, the more resistance you attract. It's a law, not a punishment. So when you feel like life is falling apart just as you commit to rising higher, remember, this is not collapse. This is recalibration. The systems that once controlled you are panicking because you're no longer feeding them. You're no longer available for distortion. And the moment your signal becomes clean, you become dangerous to darkness, to lies, to old cycles. Fasting is a forgotten weapon, not just the absence of food, but of noise, of overconnection, of over. Fasting says, I change the source of my nourishment. It resets your system to remember what real fulfillment feels like. And in that emptiness, you don't lose yourself, you find your original signal, you realign. And alignment always awakens opposition. Because when you become still, the chaos that once controlled you starts to scream. Not to defeat you, but to scare you into distraction. That's why people break right before the shift. They confuse resistance with failure. But resistance is actually proof that the next level is opening. And here lies the most dangerous code. Shame. It doesn't yell. It whispers, it doesn't attack, it isolates. It tells you to stay silent, to hide, to disconnect. But shame is not your truth. It's a prison built from the lie that you are the sum of your lowest moments, that you can't be holy after being messy, that you can't lead others if you've ever been lost. But hear this, you're not holy because you're perfect. You're powerful because you remember your way back. You've fallen, so rise and lead others out. You've given in, so transmute it into wisdom. You've felt guilt, so let it become grace. Because that's what the system fears the most, a soul that knows who it is, even after collapse. Your battle isn't about temptation, it's about interference. It's about spiritual bandwidth. And every time you say no, not to the body, but to the misalignment, you're strengthening your field. You're becoming clearer, louder, more potent. You weren't made to just resist darkness. You were made to radiate so brightly that darkness has no space left to dwell. So say it, declare it to the unseen. Not to sound poetic, but to realign the code. I am recalibrating my frequency. My soul vibrates with purpose. I am not retreating. I am rising. These are not affirmations. These are energetic commands. Your words shape waves. Your focus rewrites timelines. The universe is listening. And the systems that once distracted you, they're shaking because you've remembered who you are. And that's the one thing they can't control. If this message found you, it's because you're in the middle of your realignment. So don't silence the truth rising inside. Share it. speak it, anchor it in the field, and drop a comment below. I vibrate beyond the system. This isn't it's a signal, and signals shift everything.